Hi everybody, this is Chris Connolly at Morrison & Morrison, and today I'm going to walk you through how to create your beginning balance file to send to Adaptive out of QuickBooks. The beginning balance file is a one-time only special file that you need to send to Adaptive to establish the opening balance sheet data. It's in the same format as your actuals files that you're submitting on a monthly basis, with the important difference that instead of sending your monthly transaction data, we need you to send initial opening balance sheet data. So to get that, I'm going to go to the menu, I'm going to click Reports, Company and Financial, and Balance Sheet Standard. This is going to bring up a balance sheet as of today. That's not going to be what we want. We want to get the last day of the calendar year before we're starting our actuals data. Now, we're suggesting that you go back 2 years to the beginning of fiscal year 2017-2018, but you don't have to do that. You can go back up to this year if you have it. The important thing to do is you need to go to March 31st of whatever year that you're going to submit the data. So in this example, I'm starting in 2017, so I'm going to go to my date, and I'm going to key in 03/31/2017. Hit enter, and that's going to flip my date here to March 31st, 2017. So this is the data that I'm going to need to send to Adaptive. Just like the other reports that we need to get, we need to export it to a CSV file. To do that, click the Excel button, Create New Worksheet. Again, we're always going to be using comma separated values file, CSV. Export, I'm going to throw it on my desktop. So let's do beginning balance slide 2581, March 17. All right. So I have that on my desktop now. So I have the folder open on my desktop, and let's open that up. You can also see there I have my actual template. We're going to use that in a second. You're going to need this because data needs to be submitted the same as your normal actuals data. All right, back to my file. So now you can see I only have 2 columns in here, and it's not formatted in any way of what we need. So kind of just like our budget, it's going to be very similar to the budget export. We're going to have to do a bit of manipulation to get the data how we need it. To start with, highlight columns A and B, go to the top menu, and filter them. In column B, I'm going to click that date header, and I'm going to unselect all. The first thing we want to do is just select the blanks because we want to get rid of those. Obviously, we don't need to submit data. We don't need to submit rows that have no data. So right-click, delete row. All right? Let's get rid of that filter and put all that data back. All right, so I have everything back again. And once again, I'm going to highlight A and B. From here, I need to do a filter because in my columns, I have a bunch of total rows that I don't need. You can see here, it's a little dark, so I highlighted 10107 total. I don't need that row. I just need the individual rows. So to get rid of those, we're going to do a custom sort, and I'm going to sort by column A. All right. That'll put my accounts in numeric order. So I have my assets up here, down to my liabilities, and finally my equity and net income. My net income, this is important, we'll get to it in a minute, is definitely needed, but everything after that is not. So I have my total rows on down to the bottom. We want to get rid of all of these. Now, before I do that, there are a couple columns here that I want to take note of. My total assets and my total liabilities and equity. This is a balance sheet, so these 2 columns should match. That's important. We need to know this number, 257698.3. So I'm just going to copy this over to the side for now. All right. Now that that's there, let's go ahead and delete our totals. Keep net income. Everything down to the bottom. Delete. Good. We delete entire row. Oh, and I deleted that. So let's actually undo that. I'm just going to hit delete one more time, and Shift cells left is fine. All right. So the next issue we have is I've got all this data, and just like the actuals file, this has to net to 0. Right now I have it, and that's the $515,000. So that's not going to work. So basically what we need to do is the liabilities and the equities are credit accounts. And just like the credit accounts on the income statement side, they need to be negatives. So we need to manually adjust them to get them to be negative amounts. So first off, I'm going to come here to the start of my liabilities. My accounts payable right here is the first one, and that's why the sorting helps us. It gets the assets up top, the liabilities to the bottom. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to go all the way down to my net income, highlight everything. So I save these numbers down here because I want to make sure that all these detailed data rows I have match the total number here. So right there I see I have some 257,698.3. It matches these guys, 257,698.3. So this is the exact rows that I need, that data check. It's very important. Again, I need to flip the values of this to negative. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go to column C, and I'm going to do the equal sign. I'm going to key over to get my next row, and I'm going to multiply it by -1. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to copy that on down to the end. All right, and I'm going to paste it. I did a Control-V, but you can do a right-click and a paste as well. All right, so the next step is, now that I have those flip numbers, I need to put them back over the top of my data. So again, right-click, copy. Again, highlight the next row over. I'm going to scroll on down to the bottom, and I'm going to right-click, and this is important, paste values. We want to keep that number there. All right, not the formula. So now that's there. I can delete the flip. And the best way to validate this is, so I'm going to come up, I'm going to highlight everything again, and my sum should be 0. This is a common question I get to the help desk. My sum isn't 0, it's some strange number with an E in it. Excel sometimes does this. This is a rounding error. Anytime you see a weird number down here with an E in it, that's 0. So that is perfectly fine for our purposes here. All right, so now I have the data in the form. I have the data in, well, the data format I have, it's not quite in the format I want. So I have my template here. This has to match this. So we need to do a couple things. I need to insert a column to the left there. And again here, my amount needs to fit to D. I need to insert that there. I need to copy my headers. So let's right-click, copy. I go here, and I will paste that. My headers are there. I need to copy my large number down, 2581. Copy that, bring it on down. And yeah, that's not helpful. It's off the screen. So here we go. Paste that in, and the date, again, last day of the fiscal year prior to when you start your actuals. So in this case, 3/31/2017. I'm going to copy that on down as well. All right. Okay, so now I have my data almost in the right format. There are a couple things I need to do. I have this over here, which is going to cause problems unless I get rid of it. So I'm going to just go ahead and highlight a few rows and hit delete. That's going to tell Excel there's nothing over here. If you leave that there, it's going to add extra columns under the end of the file, and we don't want that. It'll error out when you send it into Adaptive, so be careful about that. The final thing is my net income. Now, my net income is coming out of here without any account number assigned to it because it's a calculated field in the balance sheet. I've set up the retained earnings account in QuickBooks here as 29900, which is what it's going to roll over into as the year flips over. So you can just key that in as that. Make sure it's in your mapping file as well, but that will work. That's the assigned number I have to that. So now I'm just going to double check. I have large number and everything. I have an account number set to go and everything. I have my date. I have my value. All right. So I have this here, my beginning balance, and I am going to save it. So this file is formatted in the format we need, and it is now ready to go. So how do I send it to Adaptive? So let's go over to my Gmail client that I'm using for this. And I'm going to compose a new message. And I'm going to send this file in the exact same format I send the rest of my actuals files. So I'm going to send it to adaptive@elks.cloud. And it's very important. The subject, just like everything else, needs to be actuals. Just actual. You don't need the S. You can add it if you want. And I could say, hey, beginning balance lodge 2581. But the key really is that word actual. I'm going to attach my file, and I'm getting that from my desktop. And I have too many files here. Desktop and my file. All right. So file, right email address, keyword actual, send. So in about a minute or two, as normal, I'll get an error message that it worked or not. If you get an error message, it's going to be the same as your actual style. You work through it and go from there. All right. That's it. So again, any questions, please get a hold of me by emailing elkshelp@moreandmore.com. I'll be glad to help you. You can find more hints and tips at elks.org or moreandmore.com/elks. Thank you once again.